Hello, this is Blaine Bartlett, and I'd like to welcome you to the Hidden Laws of Leadership. In this particular episode, we're going to be looking at a law that I've called the law of massive motivation. It's alliteration, but it's kind of actually fun to think of it this way. We're looking at motivation from a very specific perspective. And a couple of things here as I start introducing and then moving into this little introductory piece. We're going to go into, like I mentioned in these other videos, far more detail on this. In the Hidden Laws of Leadership program we're conducting May 13 through 15. But let me give you an overview of what this law of massive motivation actually is intended to affect and how it actually is working in organizations. First of all, a couple of points. Motivation. You can't motivate anybody else. So this is a paradox. The law of massive motivation suggests that you can. But you really can't. But what you can do is make it possible for people to begin to find ways that are motivating for themselves to move in directions that are going to be generative and useful both for you, for them, and for your organization. Now, what do I mean by that? Motivation is an intrinsic process. It's internal. I can influence by external means. And that's often where some of the confusion comes in. We're going to motivate people by giving them a bonus. That doesn't motivate. It influences. True motivation is sustainable. And true motivation happens when something is tapped inside. Now, why is this important? Well, if you pay attention to some of the studies that are being done around organizational performance, one organization in particular that has been looking at this for years, literally decades, is the Gallup organization. And a statistic that they've been publishing for at least 20 years that I know of is a very simple statistic that is sobering in its impact. 87%, according to their findings, 87% of employees worldwide are disengaged from the work that they do. Disengaged. They kind of go through the motions. And out of that 87%, 24% are actively disengaged, which means that they're actively sabotaging what it is that you're trying to make happen. They're actively looking for other work while they're at work. They are cynical. Their attitudes are poisonous. All of these sorts of things come into play here. They're not motivated to connect. They're not motivated to be a part of what it is that you're trying to achieve. This law of massive motivation is really about how you tap into something that's meaningful for people. And this is the key to this law. The law of massive motivation actually is the law of generating awareness around what's meaningful both for me, but also for the organization, and then finding a way to match the two. The law of massive motivation, and we will go into great detail of this in the program, the law of massive motivation is actually leveraged and worked when you learn how to use questions effectively. Questions serve two purposes. They obviously will bring me answers to information. I ask a question to get information. That's the most obvious. The one that is most useful, however, is understanding that questions will point people into directions. The kind of question you ask makes a big difference in terms of where people focus their attention. Energy will follow attention. So when you're asking questions about if we achieve this goal or achieve this result, what does it make possible for you, and why is that important? That's a core question that begins people introspecting. It begins them looking inside. Why is this important to me? Why is this meaningful to me? And if they can't answer that question effectively, you're going to get, at best, people that are just kind of going through the motion. So the law of massive motivation is an internal focus. It's an intrinsic application of leadership, co-creating coordinated movement. You co-create with somebody when it's meaningful for them to participate with you. You coordinate movement with others when it's meaningful for them to actually engage in a way that is going to be productive. You resolve conflict with others, and conflict exists in every organization. In the pursuit of goals, you're going to have varying opinions and preferences. Conflict gets addressed in healthy ways when it's meaningful to do so. All of this is predicated on meaning, and you can't tell anybody why it's meaningful. They have to discover it for themselves. So this law of massive motivation, if you can get your workforce, get the people that you're engaged with, get your suppliers, get your customers to identify why it's meaningful for them to participate with you, you will have massive movement occurring in the direction that you'd like it to be. This law of massive motivation is, for me, the one that actually addresses the key question. How do we get people emotionally engaged? And in the Laws of Hidden Leadership, the Hidden Laws of Leadership program that we're conducting May 13 through 15 in Los Angeles, we're going to explore that question in great detail. There are tools and processes that we're going to be introducing, and you will have some very tangible ways that you can go about doing that, creating high levels of emotional engagement when you walk out. You're going to have tools to be able to do that with your people. May 13 through 15, go to the slide that ends this program and you will see the website for more information, blainebartlett.com/HLL, Hidden Laws of Leadership. And I would like to see you May 13 through 15 in Los Angeles. This has been Blaine Bartlett. Thank you for listening.